Hey guys, yeah, welcome in. Friday afternoon, 2 o'clock, couple hours left until we get to the weekend. It has been a pretty productive day overall, you have to say, for stocks specifically, but tech more than others. Obviously, NASDAQ up better part of 2% here, trying to claw back some of the weakness that we've seen over the past couple of sessions. This is how the S&P 500 is setting up here with the final couple hours ahead of us. Yeah, it's all about this group down here right now. 2.7% for NVIDIA. That's nothing when you look at AMD up more than 5 on the day. I noticed right out of the gate this morning, chip name specifically, but AMD, to single it out, was a lot stronger than the rest. Broadcom as well, AVGO up 4.5%, Apple right there as well, almost 2%. Google, Microsoft, Meta, all 2% plus, Adobe, CRM, just name a few. But there's only one, we'll call it two, downside right now in this entire group. So widespread buying going into the weekend. As we mentioned early on this week, yes, we had two appearances from Fed Chair Powell this week, but the market was in a bit of a wait and see going into those Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We get Fed Chair Powell speaking, and then today you see the reaction from the rest of the market now. Off to the races we go, back to the upside right now, 1.32 for the S&P, 1.97% for the NASDAQ. Great look. Here's just one of many positive on the day. Airbnb, it was straight to the upside right from the word go this morning after holding on to very significant 114, 115 area support on the daily chart. A lot of charts in general looking that way, including the NASDAQ itself. There's the Qs right now. Took out that high from yesterday and never looked back. We're back into September highs right now for the overall market. Next stop would be where we were back in June and July, essentially. But yeah, it was all about tech all day long. Yeah, Microsoft all-time highs, AI strength coming through after Jerome Powell, essentially. As I say that, there's a little penny stock popping up in front of me, MRAI as well, so timely. Let's talk a little bit about what we were discussing if you were with us in the pre-market this morning. One of those was Meta. And again, it was one of those days we had a whole bunch of things to look at, all with different news catalysts, not necessarily Meta being the most important on the day, but just one of many that we were talking about for the day. And it was all about Tencent. So Meta came out and announced they had reached an agreement with Tencent that was going to see them be able to sell their VR headset over in China, something they've never been able to do before. China, obviously, massive market, not only for tech in general, Apple, to name a few. So Meta trying to, for the first time, guys, get into China.
Yes, sir. Actually, welcome back, everybody. Before you get into Meta, this MRAI is interesting pretty much at this level. So let's just start with MRAI is breaking out a triple top as we speak. I'm not chasing it. If I was going to go long, I would have just punched long at 85 even. I don't like what I see with the spread, and it's so close to that dollar level. This is a reverse split special. Reverse split, find a bottom, and then go. So I'm usually thinking one as a top, an initial top. You can still look at 85 to $1 and see a lot of room, but I'm not really seeing the level of buying above it, and the spread is not tight enough at that 85 level for a punch. So I wanted to get that out of the way because I feel as if a lot of people would be looking at, or at least some people would be looking at a stock like that, and it's moving right here at a key price level. So from there, MRAI, just realized I don't really know the name of the company, so MRAI? I don't know, MRAI. Meta, I haven't traded Meta today, but like pretty much everything else, it's up. I'm out of all of my longs. I put in the chat, I covered, two longs I had were the chip names. We talked about the chips being strong during lunch money. It was AMD and Intel. Both of them I got out at the highs. I'm actually looking for an Intel short. I'm sure we'll get to that at some point. But Meta, once again, you're on this collision course with these big highs on the daily, right in and up around the 330 level. So the fact that you stop shy of it is not crazy. This one gets pretty simple at 326. It was support this morning and right at lunchtime. It's right now resting on that support as the markets are on the highs. It's already pulled back $2 multiple times as the NASDAQ is still at the high of the day. So if the NASDAQ were to give it up, where am I going with this? Then Meta breaks 326. this is not a name that I would want to dip buy under these circumstances when it's off of the highs as the market looks strong. I'd be looking for shorts this afternoon. And once you break 326, I'm looking to join a short in Meta. There might be a few names like that out there, but it was a great day for Meta. I think when you get to levels like this on the daily chart, you can anticipate, especially given how strong the market's been, you can see some sellers come in on this Friday.
Yeah, definitely, Neil. That 126 coming right back into play. Again, we talk about looking back on the chart. And yeah, that's exactly the next level that you can see here. So yeah, definitely wild market here, straight to the upside. Talking about shorts, yeah, I was a little aggressive on the shorts, but literally the market does not want to go that way. 15.4, 15.5, but definitely relatively weak is Meta. And if the market starts to finally get a little bit of a pullback going into the second half of the day, I think a reversion into VWAP is definitely in play. And yeah, you can see that 326 consolidation range low, again, technical level as well. So a break of that definitely will give us something. Here it comes.
All right, let's go Unity. I don't know why that's so exciting, because the actual stock was definitely not today, coming off a bit of a mess as far as their earnings were concerned. It was downside right out of the gate this morning. I mean, there was a few outside of Unity as well that kind of got dragged to the downside today, but Needham, I wanted to mention as well. Needham, one of many analyst moves also to the negative side. They did maintain their buy, but lowered their price target on Unity. Probably 6 or 7 other ones as well to go along with that today.
Yeah, it was an interesting trade today on Unity. It seemed to retrace the entire downward move. Look, I mean, they lost money. They lost about $124 million, but they narrowed the loss from this time last year where they lost $250 million. Revenue grew by about 69% year over year, but it missed what the street was looking for, hence why it moved down. Recall that they changed their pricing, which caused the backlash and a reversal of that policy and the CEO to resign. So they've had some instability there, Brendo, so we'll have to see how they do.
Yeah, if you go to weekly chart, I guess you're going to have to go to a weekly chart here. This is going to end up being a monstrous wick to the downside, but wanted to point this out. Volume is 10, 12x on the relative scale today, so a ton of buying, and you can see that even on the daily chart today for Unity, but this is what I was mentioning initially, was down significantly, not so much anymore.
So if there's a theme to today, it should have stuck with the short and the firm, and at least I stopped shorting Unity eventually. Okay, so you know, I was gonna say some kind of, like, I didn't want to do the whole Unity when, if Unity had gone well today, maybe I'd be more excited to do it, but I didn't get a chance at an SSR bounce on Unity, and maybe that's the reason why I was looking for, 25 short, I'm going to make that trade every single time. And we already went over, if you're watching the morning show or when I ranted about it during Lunch Money, about the manner in which the trading could have been improved. Obviously, there were very few chances to actually make money short at 25 on Unity. I went over how you can do it differently and how I should have done it differently. Essentially, I maximized the amount that I could have lost trading at this level instead of minimizing it or actually even being up if I'd done it properly. So that being said, it's a clean SSR bounce. It never gave the entry I wanted. I wanted 21s. It bounced off 22. And then from there, it is just ripped faces off. Now, randomly, it did drop off here for a great retracement off the 26.2 level. What's crazy about the run is I've seen this happen before when a stock gets down this much, goes red to green, has a decent short float, makes a bottom off of earnings, rips faces off, yada, yada, yada. When it does this, generally speaking, you don't see this where it bounces off the key 25 level. Usually I'm looking for consolidation where it consolidated before. And then if it bounces, fair enough, then it struggles at the high of the day again. No, it bounces right away, consolidates higher, and then consolidates over the top. Like, it's still in a ridiculously strong uptrend. Like, there's no selling coming into this that has showing any signs of winning on what wasn't necessarily a great quarter. I don't know if this is going to break out at 27.5. It seems insane to think that it could even happen. As a matter of fact, I don't think it's going to happen, and I think it's ridiculous, and I probably won't take the trade. That said, if I come in on Monday, if it closes here, 26.5 to 27, and on Monday, a 27.5 breakout is available, or a 28.5 breakout is available off those lines. Just show me that you can close above here and then go for the breakouts where there's a full day for it to go, and I'm all for it. Because this trapped the living you-know-what out of shorts today. There's no question about it. And I'm willing to believe, well, I guess if I end up taking a breakout trade, then you'd be willing to bet that you're going to be able to capture some gains off that in the upcoming days. So it's, color me mad at myself because I had 2 shorts or 3 shorts pretty much all morning long. One of them was plug, which just continued to work. One of them was Affirm, which I got away from, which continued to work. And one of them was Unity, which pretty much never worked. And if I just stuck with Affirm, I always say this, at about 9:45 to 10 o'clock, that's the moment where you should be figuring out what are the names I need to stop being in and what are the names I need to continue being in and holding. And so for me, obviously Unity was one of them that I shouldn't have been in. Affirm should have been one that I held. But this could be a monumental breakout the way that this is behaved today. If it starts breaking out these other levels, I don't see why you can't go squeezing into the 30s and 34s. I'm not telling you the quarter was good. It's just the price action was nuts to the upside today.
Yeah, absolutely wild there, Neil. We talked about kind of that bounce off of that kind of not a multi-time frame, but all-time, I think it was all-time lows there. Just looking left, that 2130s was that price, and we said that take a look at the hold of that area above 21, not only in the pre-market, but also off the earnings kind of consolidation after market. And yes, you break those levels using that area as a support. Not only do you break those consolidation levels, you continue to the upside. And yes, definitely some interesting price action here, Neil. This thing is continuing to grind up. Maybe that heavy short flow playing a large factor into this. Definitely looking like a potential capitulated move here into these lows and a bit of a V-shaped recovery back towards yesterday's highs.
All right, plug, we were just commenting on the fact that this is not all-time lows, obviously, if you zoom out a little bit. March 2020, you got to go back to $3.30 coming into play right now, down better part of half, like 50% half for Plug Power on going concern.
Yeah, $3.8 billion in the hole. I mean, they didn't do well whatsoever. About $198 million in revenue in Q3. That's about 57% less than what the street was looking for. You'll recall that Plug was on the receiving end of some of that $7 billion that was going to be dished out by the government, by the federal government with respect to research in hydrogen. And, that really hasn't helped much because, well, you saw the miss and the corresponding price move down.
Yeah, pretty ugly overall. I mean, it's really been downside, if I zoom in here a little bit, downside right from the word go today, guys, for Plug.
Yeah, there were a couple of pops. We had to weather that storm. Before I get to that, I want to shout out to the Hayes Records. Thank you very much for the super chat. We appreciate you. Irrelevant, but Loki's finale was better than AOT. So just to get one thing out of the way, I'm a huge fan of comic books and and sci-fi and all that. But I actually haven't started Loki. I watch those shows with my wife, and we're way behind on stuff that we watch. So please, just for my sake, and you don't have to, you don't have to, but I appreciate it if nobody spoils Loki. So don't tell me anything. I have yet to even start the series. I'm really looking forward to it. I really did love it. Thank you very much, Hayes Records, but I haven't seen it, and I'm really dying to here. So Plug, the first trade I made today was Plug Power, short off of 380. I was scalping essentially the 380s down into the 360s and 70s in the pre-market. Then at the open, it looked like it was breaking down. So I took the break of the low with an early stop out. Then I said, okay, well, I'll take the same position for a little less for a wider stop, and ended up with exactly the same result. So I had took more for a tight stop, loser, less for a wider stop, loser. Now, I did say I liked the $4 level and managed to somehow miss the $4. Remember I was talking about Unity? So this was Plug at $4 when I was trading Unity. How much do I hate Unity today? because that was the entry for what would have been the best short for me, no questions today. However, I just went back to the well when it gave that break. When it eventually gave the break of the low, I just took it again for like the third time, and obviously the third time ended up being a charm. I didn't get a reload in here off 350, but I still have an order, which I don't know if we'll see. It's late enough in the day, I probably don't want it. I'll make a judgment call if VWAP if it gets there, but I'm holding out for $3 on the last little bit here. I might bid if we bounce off 320 again, but the difference between this and Unity is obvious. You can weather that storm when a company getting the worst possible news makes a relief rally and shorts start covering and start squeezing to the upside. You can weather that storm, but you really have to understand, you want to get out of the way when you've got to, and then look for the trade when it makes sense. Unity did not do, like, this reversed off of 420. When it got to 4, held underneath and stair-stepped down. Unity held the highs. Like, this is a very different name. It was easy to stick with the short here. So it just shows the difference. Like, you find a way to be aggressive in the names that are working, and you find a way to get away from the names that are not making sense to you. And nobody is ever going to be perfect. Nobody claims to be. But, you know, you can turn a good day. Like, today was a really good day for trading because there were fantastic longs. There were even a few great shorts out there. But it's like one little misstep, and it goes from it could have been your best day in like a week or a month to just any other good day because a stock that should have been your best while you were wrapped up in something else at that particular time. So that's Plug for me. It's still, you know, Plug, fantastic, all that good stuff. I think this company's in a world of trouble just from a fundamental standpoint. I think we said we thought that we both think they're going bankrupt.
I think overall, we did talk about this. You said you heard it from an engineer's point of view, and I was like, literally one of my best friends is an engineer, and we were talking about how hydrogen fuel cells are absolutely ridiculous in terms of the idea of a hydrogen fuel cell infrastructure is absolutely ridiculous. But the thing is, if the ticker is moving, you can definitely make some money on it, and that fundamental aspect is definitely a little bit irrelevant. But here we go with the technicals right here. That 420 rejection, definitely interesting here. Very, very flat kind of opening from the 4 a.m. kind of consolidation. You can see this very distinct and tight action, and then you sell right off of it. A bit of a grind down, and then we talked about something that's kind of been pounded down off of these earnings. You got to watch out on the open if you are looking for a continuation move. And yeah, it definitely did continue. Look at the pop out of the open, and then that consolidation from this pre-market, and also this kind of earnings reaction low there comes right back in, and sellers step right back into the name, and we're headed down to the downside, right? VWAP breaks, and now we're just consolidating in a range above 3. So definitely some solid opportunities on Plug today. Long out the open, and then short off of this technical level from some of the earnings reaction price action, as well as today in the pre-market price action.
All right, another one back to the upside here. The trade desk, it was one of those days. I mean, if you zoom out a little bit, yes, it's been up since the word go this morning, but yeah, we're not getting back to here, let's be honest. Where this thing ended yesterday, still a pretty ugly report as far as the trade desk is concerned, but price action would dictate that it was a little overdone today.
Yeah, it was the guidance, Brendo, that really missed here, and that sent this one reeling to the downside. Let's talk about how they did. They increased their net earnings about $39 million. Compare that to $16 million same time last year. Revenue grew substantially as well, about 25% year over year on the quarter. The guide, though, like I mentioned on the top there, that was the issue. They guided about $580 million for Q4. The street was looking for 610. And you saw what happened after that.
And one of those days when we came in this morning, there was so much that was down in the pre-market, and then it all kind of grinds its way back to the upside, helping the overall market out here, which, by the way, just made a new high.
So I was just responding to Hayes there for something in the chat. Just wanted to make sure that got out there. First, before we get into trade desk, which the theme of the day should be earnings bounces. It's ridiculous, some of the bounces that you saw today. Unity, Trade Desk, both incredibly impressive. But shout out to Nicola Harris. Thank you for the super chat. Congratulations. Bought your SPY call at 48. Now it's 180. 180. If you play darts, you know what I'm talking about. Went from 436 to 434. Does it look like it could break 440? Ridiculous. I wouldn't bet anything against this market. Man, I put in the chat that when we got to 15.5 on the NASDAQ, I covered the longs with my chip names because I thought there's no chance we're going any higher. That was 70 points ago. So, I mean, if you bet against this rally, then A, you're losing. B, you're just losing. So trade desk, I don't know how much higher we could go. To be honest with you, it's feeling like we're already at 2% on the NQ, and on the ES, we're essentially 1.4. So just before I get into the trade desk, like you got to go back. I'm going to do it right, Nicole. Like, what am I even looking at that for? You said SPY. Let me pull up the SPY. Like you've broken trend on the daily. We'll just go daily first. You've broken this. You've broken trend on the daily pretty clearly. The downward trend is now gone. You've also broken resistance. From 440, there's air to 444. Like, it's just what the hell is standing in the way? The thing about this rally today is you had to pull back from the Fed, from the Fed talk. Then you had a few earnings, and most of them were all disastrous this morning and were gapping really far to the downside. You throw in the fact that it was a Friday, and you just come off a big winning streak. I can't remember a time that there was, at least, the majority of people were thinking, okay, you got some weakness, there's going to be some rollover, blah, blah, blah. Sure, there were support levels out there, all that good stuff, but I feel like this was one of those rallies that, even if it was going to break, I thought inside day, like range-bound trade, even if it was to the upside, it would be pretty, fairly muted. I think this probably caught a lot of people off guard, and it shows a lot of strength in this rally. So you look at where it's going. The way I always trade, when I have a trade, I usually have outs. Like, I'd be out of, anytime I have something like that, if it's hitting the high of the day, I'm out of like 80 to 90% of it, and then some of it's for the dream. Well, I don't know if you're swinging or anything, but like, what do you see as a problem until you get to the 443, 444 level? I don't really see anything. So congratulations to you. It's been an absolute rocket ship. If you have trade desk long right now, you're also incredibly happy. SSR bounces over and over again. The difference today was they didn't really set up. Generally speaking, when you want a short sell bounce, you want it to dig into a level, reject it to the downside, and then fly to the upside. This just started going right away. It was going in the pre-market, and it already bounced $3 or $4. Then it broke out, won another 5. There was a great short opportunity multiple times off 64. For lunch money, we said breakout on this stock. I decided to trade chips long. Doesn't really matter, but if you took it, great. The issue with it on the daily, however, is as impressive as this is, this is crazy to say, because it's actually bounced $10 today off the bottom since the pre-market low. And it's nowhere even remotely sniffing bearish on a daily chart or bullish on a daily chart. Because before this, you had lower highs, and you're not even taking out previous resistance with any gusto unless you get above 66. So I wouldn't punch long on this one. At these highs, I feel like you're running into the spot where it should slow down and then calm itself down. If it happens to break 66, look at the 200 period at 70 bucks. I think that's going to be another problem spot for it. As we are getting to the highs, one more thing, just to get, because we're not going to get a chance to talk about it. It's already starting to roll over. I got out of Intel at 39. I'm looking short now. I should already be in the short. So it failed at 39. We're long into 39. I want shorts if I can get them in the high 80s to 90. The market's still at the top, and it's already started pulling back. So yeah, that's a problem. We're doing our rundown, but I probably missed a chance. It's kind of, probably missed a chance to be in this short off of 39. 39 has been the level on this stock time and time again. Here it is on the daily chart. There's the reason why we cover longs into it. That's the reason why I want a short in front of it.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point there. I think just before the show started, I even asked you about the AMD kind of chips kind of pulling back as well, and that's coming into fruition a little bit here. But yeah, no, trade desk, wow, what a long off the open. VWAP can't even break through or below VWAP distinctly at all. This is a 15-minute chart. This thing is a champ, holding VWAP right off the open, and yeah, straight breaking through that 64. But definitely got to be a little bit nimble here as we just look further back on the chart. We are coming up into some of these levels from earlier or later in October, end of October right here. This consolidation just in and around this 66 mark, and we've already come in and tested this. So this definitely, like Neil said, this can continue going, but we may be expecting a little bit of trouble here if the market pulls back as well and we get that little bit of a confluence. Maybe we do get a revisit of that VWAP, and then we can see whether or not VWAP is going to stay strong on this name. We were talking about a 50% reversion. It seems like we pretty much got that confluenced with a significant level from the past.
Yeah, in California. Yeah. All right. Netflix, another one that looks exactly like the market today, straight to the upside. 435 up to 445 hanging out here right at day highs. There wasn't much. I mean, this actor thing gets resolved in Hollywood, so all of the streaming names seemingly positive on that. JP Morgan specifically then comes out, raises their price target on Netflix above 500 even, so a little ways to go still. We're at 445. Nice day, though, overall.
Yeah, analyst, JP Morgan analyst Doug Anmuth likes this, raising his price target from 480 to 510, essentially saying that he sees pricing power here for Netflix. They raise prices in the US, the UK, and France. He sees them expanding that to other jurisdictions as well. I think they raise them in Canada as well. He also likes the member additions, the password crackdown sharing. He thinks they're going to add 21 million more members by the end of this year, 32 million by the end of next year, and get this, Brendo, another 39 by the end of 2025. So he thinks they're going to have about 500 million subs within a few years. So let's see how they do.
Yeah, I mean, the trade desk gap this morning would suggest that this whole advertising side of the business not great at the moment, but at least they're getting more people to sign up for it. So there's that.
Yeah, that is true. There's no question about it. Before we get into it, appreciated John Van Sowers. I am doing the recap show. We're not going anywhere. We got Michael Noss tonight, like we always do. That's how it's going to be. We'll have a lot of fun, just like it is every single time. So we fill in for each other pretty easily, and same way Obi comes on and fills in for Sean. I'll fill in the after show. That's how we do around here. I'll just do this on camera. Where is it? Zion, you can hear me right now, Sharif. So Zion, Lala, can you ask Sharif if he's going to watch the Cowgirls playing this weekend? I don't know what team that is. Anyways, who that might be. But I just figured you're right here, so I might as well just ask you out loud how you feel about that. Yeah, whatever, man. The
Cowboys are going to be playing. Yes, I will be watching.
Well, I don't know. We could have been talking about the rodeo. Like I went to when I was in Fort Worth. I mean, you had fantastic Cowboys, Cowgirls doing whatever. So I just asked the question out there and wanted to see what it was. Netflix, let's go. It finally broke that channel. There's so many things you could have had long today, and we don't have the chips up there, but obviously we were just talking about them with AMD and Intel, and anyone's probably seen an NVIDIA chart today knows what's up. But it finally breaking away. All week long, a tight consolidation on Netflix, and then you get this great dip and rip off the 440 level. I don't think you fight this. It's been waiting for this move, and if you look at it, all of the resistance has been closer to 450. So, this gets to 450, it's been a problem, and when this gets to a problem level, it checks up. That's just what it's been doing. So 450, I think it's got some room to get there. Give it a chance. This is not one of the names I'd say, hey, in the afternoon, if we're not going higher, I want to short it. I don't put Netflix in that category unless it was at 450. That would be a different thing. I prefer Intel because it's at a resistance spot and it's pretty darn close to it. But a great day for Netflix. Really, when you think about it, this is the kind of setup. Netflix isn't the stock that I generally trade. However, when you're looking at something like this, strong run into a long consolidation. Like we had a very long winning streak in the market. And so when you look at what happened this week, neither at any point during the win streak or even when we had the pullback, at no point did Netflix get out of the pocket. Yeah. Like it just stayed, like you close on Friday at 32.5 or something. You never really trade away from that. You reject it, you accumulate underneath, you hold it as support, you chill out in the range. On the pullback, you hold it in support. That's the kind of thing that sets you up for a breakout trade. That's exactly what you're looking for in a breakout. Now, obviously, most people like chasing a move like that on a breakout of a low cap stock so you can get a higher percentage gain. Fair enough. But that is a perfect looking set. It's a week long. It took a week to set up, and then you just make the one trade that one day to get it. That's the kind of edge that you look for when you're trading. It's not to say that you're a Netflix trader every day, but if your edge is trading breakouts, and I'm being dead serious about this, I had a conversation for like an hour with some of the traders, and one of the things we were discussing is different edges, and we're just kind of chilling out in the kitchen. It started with one thing, and then it just goes into like whatever, because I like to ramble. But one of them was finding whatever edge it might be, and then when you see it, go from 0 to 100 like that. Like real quick, Patrick. Yep. One of the things that I've seen from the best traders over the years is you can trade, yeah, this setup's okay, and I do this and that. But then when that one edge is right there, you don't miss it, and you hit it all in. And I'm not saying this was an all-in trade, but if you're a breakout trader, this set up perfectly all week. And again, I wasn't looking at Netflix until post, but it was a perfect breakout that never tests against. You had a reload opportunity, and you had no resistance till you got to 450. Okay, it only went halfway, so you'd probably still be in a bunch of this, or half of this, or maybe a third of it, looking for more. That said, at no point did it threaten against you. So if breakouts are your thing, Netflix was great. But like I said, I wasn't in that trade today. Looking in other places, the chips to me were just, I felt they were lower hanging fruit, but clearly you could have just done this too.
Yeah, definitely a very, very strong move there on Netflix. Let me just reiterate what I was talking about in the morning there, kind of an earnings continuation play. So bigger picture kind of thing happening here, gapping up on earnings, holding the gap, consolidating over over a couple weeks. With that 400 hold, and then you step up to here, and then you start actually trending back up into this. And yes, Neil, yesterday's heavy market quadunk left us with a pretty muted move relative to kind of the trend that Netflix has been moving in. Coming back in today, reclaim the trend, and we're off to the races right past that 440. Definitely a great place to interact with, as well as kind of this the lower support of that trend when it comes right back in. But giving it to you in the pre-market is a little tough. But what we talk about this a lot. Some of the best prices don't last very long, and you can see that front run right off the pre-market session there.
So before we wrap this up, I want to just one more thing on Netflix. I saw like a really cool comment. Where was it? It was Northwestern Canopy Development. Just goes, you also could have just bought Netflix last year and been good to go. You are 100% right. I'll be the first person to tell you, like, for mostly, like, I spent like most of the drawdown like looking for opportunities. I was essentially just dollar cost averaging the Qs. Now I mostly, like, when I have individual names in my account and then have a position in the market, for me the market has always been the SPY. So I do have like a long-term position in the SPY, which never goes anywhere, but I was never really like super active in the Qs, right? Like it felt like this year was like the chance to buy the Qs. So I was essentially dollar cost averaging into that. Very few individual buys, like a few things out there, like I had to buy in Tesla, one in Google, bought some Caterpillar, just a few things in here and there, but mostly the Qs. And Netflix is like a casualty of, well, I had like one buy into it, think, yeah, I just want some exposure into a streamer that makes some sense to me because Disney sucks. I love you, Disney. Thank you very much for nothing. You guys know me. I bitch about two stocks. One of them is Disney and the other one's Boeing. But Netflix is a missed opportunity because what you were able to get was fantastic. Like, I think the pullback, once this breached the 200 period moving average, which a lot of times if I like a stock, I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for either a bounce off it or an accumulation under the 200 period. And if you really like it and you like the story, just jam. Like and it gave you exactly that. Accumulation under the 200 period, a break back out that you could have taken, like all kinds of stuff you could have been doing, or you could have just been buying it into it, dollar cost averaging once it got to the 200 period, so you would have at least, if you do it that way, I would have been buying, like say here in September, and then in October, probably waiting till the end of the month because I would have bought the end of the month there, so you may not get it till there, but that's the other way to put it. Then you're just getting a couple of longs. I don't know how you want to build it, but you're into that move. I love dollar cost averaging, and sometimes the way I will do it is I wait for a stock to get to a certain level where I suddenly like it, and then I'm just either buying it once a month or I'm buying it once a quarter if I care too much about the business and I want to see a good quarter. Intel was kind of that case. I didn't want to buy it once every month when I was getting into it. I really wanted to see how they were doing, so I would buy it every single quarter. But whatever you do, like there's no way to go wrong. Buy something good and hold on to it has always been the way to go. I think we're supposed to go to robot. No? Okay, never mind. We're just going to move on. I was about to say, we're supposed to go to you know what for a bit of a read, but it is 2:35. Let's get into some trading here. I feel as if I might have missed an opportunity for a retrace short. Now, I still want in the 90s on Intel, into that 39 level. It's possible, as the market just chills at the high, it consolidates lower and drops into VWAP. I'm not at the point that I want to chase this move down just yet, but it's not an impossibility. Like, I still feel like it could be in the pocket that that's what I want to do. Apple, we haven't talked about Apple this afternoon. So yes, the chips were very good. I was long AMD to the top. But Apple, bad wick here. I'll clean that up in a second. But Apple, I did not stick with. I had an early long off 184. That goes right into like 184.5. I did a couple of reloads. Nothing was really bad in here. I just had some really tight stops on Apple in the middle of the day, like right at the end of our morning show, and I never got back to it when it cracked VWAP. When things cracked VWAP, I went long 2 chip names because I like the chips better, but Apple was just as good. So I think you're wanting to buy any dips on Apple. This is a bad looking chart, but I can show you this is about 185.25. That into 185 makes some sense. That one guy, Disney, is short at VWAP.
Sorry, say again, what was that?
Disney short at VWAP, question mark.
All right.
I would say this. When the market is at highs, in a general sense, when the market is at highs and you're looking for a short, it's either, if it's at something at the high of the day, then I want it to be at a monster level on a daily chart or on like a 15-minute chart with multiple highs at that level. If it's just the high for that day, I don't really love it because it's a strong stock at the high. Or I want it to be making a lower high, showing relative weakness when the market's at the high, if I want to short it. Or better yet, just have it be something which was trending down all day long and is providing you with a short entry. So the answer would be, yeah, it actually looks pretty decent. It never got to 86, where I thought the bounce should be on this stock. And 88 gives you an even dollar level at VWAP to play off of. If the market rolls over, it was weak to begin with. And if you want to take what I generally like to do for VWAP trading, what's up with these wicks, would be a break of VWAP that fails the VWAP break. So break it here, not get past 40, and then you're almost looking for fills in that range. So if the market takes out the high of the day, I'd be willing to let this get through 88, look for fills in here, and then if the market fails the breakout of the top, you're short above 88. And you don't have to worry about it. Now, you can also just short it here with a stop to 88 and then wait for that trade to also materialize and take 2 trades off VWAP. I generally prefer in a strong market to take the money fills as it's breaking out and people go into the long at 88 and you get that short and it comes back in, and I'm not saying it's a better way to play, I just prefer it that way. So I still favor Intel, but that looks pretty good on Disney.
Yeah, I think Disney. Again, I'm gonna say this again. I think the best opportunity on Disney was off the open. Again, we had a little bit of a piece of that, but that definitely gave us that continuation through that, not only pre-market low, but through that $90 level. But definitely a good place. I think Neil said he was looking for that 86 or 87. Was it 86 or 87?
It's 86 on the daily.
86 on the daily. We come down to 87, but something I do want to point out here is that again, we talk about this kind of consolidation. If it does show up as a potential area of interest, and sometimes it does, you do have to kind of keep that in mind. Right here, you come down, very strong flush, very strong volume out the open. Again, day 2 earnings, not day 1 earnings, so you definitely have some levels from your day 1. But we're coming down right into this consolidation zone. Yes, VWAP has been heavy right out the open, and VWAP has been kind of sold off throughout the day as well. But if you make a consolidation base right here at that, on top of that 87, and just churn that all day into pretty much an hour and 20 minutes off the close, it's pretty much only gone down the whole day. right? So if you're trying to look for players offside here, definitely the longs from yesterday were already dealt with out the open here, but intraday shorts can definitely be a little bit underwater if we do start bidding back above VWAP. So I think, yeah, the short around VWAP has worked in the morning and during the midday, but going into the later half of the day, in my opinion, that can be a little bit questionable. But yeah, if the market kind of comes right back in, again, a little bit of a disconnect from the market, of course, here on Disney, as the market still continues to rip up and continues to make new highs on a lot of these names here. I see that Sofi still teetering near its highs. Last time we left you, Sofi was making new highs, so it's only continued to do that all day. Same thing with the markets here. But Disney a little bit disconnected from that idea there. But you know what? Like I said, we were going to be waiting for lower highs. I wanted to continue this short on Disney, but again, we talk about if the prices are great, or if the trade is decent and the prices actually have a strong interest, they may not last very long. And you can see that we did get a nice bleed off into that consolidation zone into the 87 here. But yeah, no, today is definitely a day not to fight the market, Neil. And yeah, I did a little bit of fighting and kind of shot myself in the foot a little bit earlier here. As you guys, I think you guys were still here going into 11 o'clock. I did short Amazon right into oblivion here, going a little bit tilt mode. Had the nice shorts. Not so happy that we got stopped out initially, but we did have them. And again, I keep noticing this behavior there, Neil, and I know I was thinking about it, and while I was in this position, Neil was talking about not forcing a position. I don't know if you were trying to talk to me, but I thought about it later, and I was like, I'm definitely fighting this off of a lower high, and pretty much shorted into oblivion there, stepped off for a good while, and yeah, I'm just like, this is not the right mindset. This is not trading. This is just me forcing my bias onto the market. I had good trades in the morning, and the fact that I missed out on potential gains here, I'm just trading my PNL. The psychology and the mindset has totally shifted into a degen mode, and again, this is something I'm trying to work on. It seems to be a little bit of a strong problem that I'm experiencing as of recent. But you know what? We come back, we take a little bit of scalps here and there. But Neil is absolutely right. If I am a little bit antsy and I am trying to force the short, I do not want to get short right away here, as the market is still continuing to push towards new highs. Alphabet, Microsoft, Amazon, Apple. I know I'm not looking at a lot of other names as well, but best believe a lot of those names are also near their highs.
You into James Bond?
Sorry?
You know James Bond?
Yeah, of course. Well, I'm not a big fan of the movies, not because like I don't like them. It's just I haven't seen a lot of them. But the ones I have seen, I do like.
Let's just say Microsoft, we're at an all-time high. Now I would sing it, but nobody wants that. I'm into Bond, but that's like one of the Bond theme songs. At all-time high, and I'm gonna immediately just like I have some crazy wicks on a few of my big cap tech names. You saw it on Apple, and now there's one at this exact same time. There's a crazy dark pool fill on Microsoft there, but suffice to say it's at 369.50. That's completely insane. 370, it could easily get to. This would be another name you want to buy in dips. That's hard to see. It's like 368. 368.5, I think, would be a one zone, and then if it got to 367.50, that's about a decent one as well. I did just get into Intel off that 39 level. I'm in at 84. I would rather have a 90 price, so if I have to chase it, I want to chase it small to begin with. Oh, my Palantir chart was just fine a second ago. There it goes. That was short 19 in Palantir. Actually, still not filling in the rest of the day, so there you go. I was short 19 in Palantir. First one was great. The second time, this is a 15-minute chart, so that's actually 2 times in there. We got multiple dips down into 1880 before it eventually broke out. It always looks like this in hindsight. It looks great that you got out at a key level, but then you say, why didn't I reverse? My reason for not reversing is hilarious, because my reason for not reversing is the reason I should be long, but I'm not. And it doesn't make sense when I say it at first, but trust me, this makes a lot of sense. I didn't want to reverse long at 19 because there was overhead resistance on the week at 19.15. So keep that in mind when we go back over to my 3-minute chart. Overhead resistance at 19.15. It breaks out at 19, so I don't go long. It then continues moving, pulls back off 50s into 1920, VWAP at 1915. So why does it mean I should be long? Because if that's what I was afraid of, that just turned into support. So if the level I was afraid I didn't want to be long here because I'm punching into that, and I think the short could still be good if it fails this, then I should be looking for longs once it breaks out. It dips into here, you can be long right in here to here or here to here, and then continue the trend into the upsides. Anyways, that's just I never like punching, just to me, the week high is 15 cents higher. I never want that long at 19 in that situation. I'd rather the continuation long after it, where you don't necessarily have to fight a big time rejection. But Palantir has been an absolute rocket ship. To everybody that was yelling about it all day long, the hat, I put the hat back. I'm not going to wear it. It's Sean's hat, so I'm not going to put it on my head or anything. I don't even have any hair, so like it probably wouldn't even fit. But anyways, super strong day for Palantir. I really think this name is very much poised for some kind of an epic breakout, because if you look at what this did, all it did is hold on to the channel, broke out, held on to the 18 channel, which is a previous high, broke out the next today, and all that is left is for it to get through 20 bucks. Okay, like maybe there's a wick up here, it's like 2030 or 2040. Once that happens, it's just smooth sailing for PLTR, completely insane. Lasse in the chat. Is it Lass? Is it Lass Hansen? Geez, Lucid, come on. I'm guessing Lucid's not going up today, which Lucid and Fisker were really good shorts yesterday. And if only because like every single EV was a really good short yesterday, but these ones being $4, like you could just short it up. Both of them you could short off $4 in like the high 90s and then just sit in it the entire day, which is very different from like trading like Tesla or Rivian. Like it's the same trade. It's just when you, trust me, if you ever trade, like it's so much easier to do because you get the same percentage gain and you're just watching it slowly bleed. It's very calming because it's never really all that stressful. And essentially it's the same thing. The stock moves 5% and moves 5%. But today, despite the fact that it's going higher, it can't go green. Rejection at yesterday's close. I don't know, I don't want to talk myself into shorting that, but let's just go away, because if I look at that too long, I'd sit on the offer, short 74 with a 76 stop, and risk 2 cents to be sitting in that short the entire afternoon, which I've done before. It's just the last time I did it on Lucid, I literally sat in it the entire afternoon, and it didn't go anywhere, and then I ended up punching out of it right at 350. So I'm into Intel off of this lower high. I do like that setup. If we get a reasonable dip by an Apple, I think I would take a shot at it. It's sort of getting there now. So yeah, Apple's getting pretty darn close to a nice little dip by.
Yeah, I see that Sway P here with a bunch of I think okay, those are asterisks right there. SoundHound AI, yeah, definitely. This one had earnings as well this morning, saying that now partnered with 25% of global automakers, SoundHound. But yeah, definitely earnings day one. We talked about some of the other earnings names today, but definitely not this one. Interesting price action here, not only off the earnings, but day before earnings and day one earnings as well. Take a look at this range that's kind of being defined here, especially from the upside here, underneath $2. This 191 kind of sells off. Going into earnings reaction high goes right into that day high right there at that 191 and then flushes right in. Coming into today, earnings day one, again, you pretty much make that same range inside of that earnings reaction range, but now we are slowly kind of bidding up there. So now I don't know what Sway P has in terms of a position on this, but it does seem like it is catching a bit of a bid off of VWAP and slowly potentially building up into this 191 there, Neil. So I think that this level right here, defined level a little bit here, you're getting that volume as well. Now again, this name, I don't know how much volume it does.
Did you say the short float there?
Yeah. No, I did not say the short float.
16%.
16% short float. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So and shares float 175 mil. So it's not even a small float there, and it's shorted that much. Definitely, this 190 could bring in some buying pressure here. Let's take a quick look left here on the chart. And okay, so we've pretty much been downtrending for quite a while here. Again, I understand that this name had some strong volume and a nice pop off of when a lot of AI names were running earlier in the year, right? So definitely beat down quite heavily off of its highs. Let's take a quick look at the weekly here, and you'll see what I mean when I say definitely beat down. Take a look at this. Definitely far away from where it was much earlier. And with that kind of a short float, I think any and every type of news that may even hint of being good could give us a little bit of a pop, and it does seem like it is kind of consolidating in and around underneath this $2 level, but significant wicks off of that 191 on SoundHound AI there. Market's still raging to the upside. I'm waiting. I'm really patiently waiting. Again, like I said, I pretty much shot myself in the foot, so now I have to be very meticulous in terms of what kind of trade I'm going to take, even if one shows up. Clearly, the long is not wrong, but again, I do have, again, 143. We talked about this a few days ago. This 143 comes right back in, and my question is, looking left on the chart on Amazon, do these sellers at 143 kind of step back in? This market is definitely not helping with that, as we pretty much trade in quite a tight range here. Let me just pull up a shorter time frame here. So since about 1 o'clock here, the futures have only traded in about a 20 point range, not even here since that time. That's very muted relative to the type of aggression we've had in the morning and throughout the midday as well. Take a look at these 15-minute bars, very extended, not really showing any sign of mutedness, but and then all of a sudden right here, the past 4 15-minute bars, extremely muted, a little bit of indecision happening right here at these highs. Again, very strong on a day. Will we get a pullback? Who knows? But we were talking about some of the weekly charts here, so let's take a quick look at Apple and the NQ as well. Kind of Apple being the market leader. That's why I want to look at the weekly. Again, this very strong break. You kind of you dip into this 165, and then you break this trend resistance as well. At the beginning of the week, you open above or pretty much at the close of previous strong green week, and we are only getting a continuation to the upside. So potentially this pressure, this buying pressure, well, it's starting to make a little bit of sense if this buying pressure is coming from this very strong downtrend that we've had. Again, off of the 200 test. I remember talking to a couple buddies there. I was like, oh, Apple pretty much failed that 200 test. You couldn't even get to that 200. A little bit of a healthy pullback can have us very well into the 175. Just about a quarter pullback off of the hole there, off the 200. And look at what we got. We got that flush right into that 175s off of a failure to follow through. Look at that strength all year. And going into the end of the year, Neil, we did get a little bit of a pullback, but I'm curious to know, do you ever look at longer time frames like a 3-month or a 6-month? Because on those charts, we are looking perfectly fine.
First,
we are looking perfectly fine.
That for that chart, because market green, that looks very strong. So I tend to, when I'm day trading, you guys see it's like I have 3 minutes. I look for levels out to 15. I look for trend on the daily. When I look for bigger levels on the higher time frame, I like to pull up a weekly chart. I'm trading in my own personal account. But like so I go only as far back as a weekly when I'm day trading, and that's only occasionally. Yeah. But when I'm looking at for things in my personal account, like I start with a daily, it's daily, weekly, and I will look at a monthly chart. Almost always. You got to have really high time frames to keep things in perspective. If you're planning on holding something for years, what are you looking at a daily chart for? If you plan on holding something for, well, I don't need to finish that thought. That's a pretty obvious one. I want to get to this in the chat. Thank you very much for this. Oh, you guys put it up. That's even. I was going to show it here, but that's even better. No, that was way better. Thank you, D's, because you had an idea, and so we made a poll. Who has better puns, Obi or Adara? Now, I haven't voted yet, and this is no offense to you, Obi, but my vote is for Adara, and
that's
which
fine,
is
that's
I'm just saying. I know, like, obviously you're sitting there.
We'll
so
we'll let the people vote.
Okay, that was. That came off a little bit like, okay, like that was more along the lines of, Psh, I know what's up, son.
No, I
And
did
it's
not.
gonna
I
be
did
me.
not mean it like that.
No, that's exactly how you meant it. Like, first of all, you guys all know exactly how he meant that.
sorry,
Like that was
yeah.
very much.
I apologize.
I'm a man with some puns in here, and that's what's up. So like, have some fun with it. I think that's what we do around here. It's Friday. The market's at highs. It was a good trading day. Like everyone should be happy. If you own some shares of Sofi, you're pretty happy. Shout out to everyone in the chat that mentioned Sofi just now looking pretty strong because it's really sucked for this stock lately. And when I say it sucked, this is the channel on Sofi. However, as we've observed with Intel and a few other names that have a channel like this, well, when you bounce off the top, you get to the bottom, and when you get to the bottom, you look for a move back into the top. Well, it bounced off the bottom. And then you got a big assist from the market today to allow you to continue to bounce off the bottom, because I'm not sure this would have happened if it wasn't for the overall market. Like, look at that bottom at 650, bottom of the channel. It looked like it was headed right back for a retest of that, and then the market went ham, and it went semi-ham back into 7. I think a 7 break looks really good, just based on what you're looking at on that daily chart for the channel down on Sofi. So when I notice something like this, I don't always have lines on my daily chart, but I've always been I was a trend line trader when I started out momentum trading way back when. It's something I go back to when I see something like this. I put the trend line in there, and I make sure I observe that. So when it gets down to the lows, I'm not really thinking about shorts, regardless of what's happening. I'm looking for that long bounce play. Obviously, when it's a trend down, I'm really thinking about only short till it at least gets to midway. Even then, probably shorts all the way down. So you've made the bounce, but the continuation to me is until you break out at $7, which could happen today. It's definitely possible. I don't know if the volume's going to be there for us for it to happen today. There's a slight push down happening in the market. I did just miss a chance to add above 90 on Intel, so I'm going to add at 88. And it's just like the second I just do the order, and it goes to 86. See what I mean? You pressed above 90, and I was looking for it to kind of get into the 93 to 95. I'm just going to offer 88s and try to get the fill that way, and then we'll see if we can get down into VWAP. I do like that one for a fade. AMD is still super strong. I got out of it. It's a bad wick here too. So double top at about 119.5. Now all of a sudden it's failing the 119 level. So you're having that fail some lower highs. NVIDIA is rolling over 485 here. So yeah, you're getting a decent pullback in the chip names. Wow, NVIDIA is so super strong. Decent pullback, though, in the chip names. I definitely want to be getting in some shorts there. And I wanted to check back in on that Disney idea. So shout out in the chat for the look at Disney off of VWAP.
Knocking on the door.
Okay, so it's barely above. I mean, not exactly what I would call the liquidity grab above VWAP yet, but it's creeping above VWAP. If the market were to start rolling over, I'd really want this to get into like 88.20 and be able to short it there. That way I can risk it to this level here. Right now, to hold it 50 cents against you with an hour to go in the day, no bueno.
Yeah.
And sort of in the morning, you are more than willing, like if you punch short here 90s on a breakdown of Disney, of course you're willing to give it to 90.50. 50 pennies. It has all day to fall $2 for you, or $1.50 for you. Now, if you do the same trade here, which I actually kind of like this rejection, so let me just get in and explain later. So one of the things, if you're gonna get in late, however, risking the same 50 cents, I'd actually have to believe if I take this and hold it to 80.50, which I'm not gonna do here, I need to believe it's not only getting to the low of the day is 2 to 1. Like it really needs to bust down because I'm going to get some out on the way in. So it needs to be 100% getting to the low of the day if I'm taking that trade. So you have to really believe that. Now, if I shorted here off of VWAP, there's 2 places I can have a tighter stop. The most obvious one is it just wicked at 807, so I can throw it to like 8810. Or I can just put it halfway. If I think it's 88 to 88.50, I can throw an 88.25. I much prefer to have a tight stop because that's how I roll. I would suggest probably a lot of other traders would have the stop at like the quarter mark or something like that, but that's not how I'm going to go. I'm going to go with the tight stop because I actually do like this, and Apple just came in for a dip buy.
Yeah. Apple kind of, I'm watching a lot of these, a lot of the large caps here, and Apple definitely has not broken any sort of trend since about, I see here, the initial pullback was quite nice there. We talked about that dip right into that 183 halves. But since then, since about, what is it, 11 o'clock, I have here 10:30 even, you can call it, we have not broken trend on Apple at all here on, here, take a look right here. I'm not,
Nice, Fabian.
I don't think I have moving average on this right now, but let's, you know what, we can take off VWAP and throw on a moving average real quick, just a simple one. It doesn't really matter, but yeah, take a look at that. Perfect. So right here, 9 SMA is happening. You can just use it as a guide to give you a direction of trend or how strong the trend is. 9 EMA being a smaller period moving average, showing you more aggressive trends. And yeah, very aggressive since that 10:30, 10:45 mark, where you kind of reclaim, push back towards highs. And again, this was around VWAP areas as well. You reclaim VWAP, but this is the first time we're getting a little bit of a pullback here. So I do want to take a look at the what is it, the 30-minute right here, and I think we are still well within kind of we did pull back here, but we've had pullbacks like this along the way here, so maybe a little bit of still patience to happen. But as I say that, Amazon coming right back into 143, I was saying I'm going to be patient here. If this is an actual sell and a break in trend, again, I don't want to be the first one to the party. Like I said, I'm going to be meticulous as possible with that next trade and potentially look for a lower high if the market does want to pull back in a healthy manner. In the last hour, I'm going to be looking for any lower highs relative to the break of this trend here on Amazon as well as Apple. Kind of, I'm looking for that confluence to come in.
You made a good point there, because, and I like that pun. So it wasn't a pun; it was an observation. You don't want to be the first one to the party. So I'm going to start using that a little bit more. Because I say you want to get on the back end of a trade or look for a continuation. Now I'm just going to say you don't want to be the first one to the party. Because
unless it's your party and you're hosting it.
Well, true. Like if you are the whale, like if you are
into
going
the meta game now.
This is true though. But if you're the biggest trader on that stock, which is not going to happen on a big cap stock, but you know every now and then, if you were a penny stock trader back in the day, you might find yourself in a situation like that. You would make a move because you're trading a stock where you're buying power. Yada yada. You get that. However,
you don't think it happens on large caps?
No. Well, not for traders that sit on the floor like this.
Of course.
No,
there are big fish.
There are big fish in any game, and if you're the big fish, you can be early to the move. But you don't necessarily want to be if you are not going to be that big fish, and you're never going to be that big fish on an Apple or an Amazon if you're a prop trader or a retail trader. That's just a fact. There are going to be situations, and traders can get to that point where you can be trading a small cap or penny stock, and maybe you are. It happens. I was a penny stock trader in the beginning, and there were a couple back in the day, a few in Toronto, where I could tell you it was a couple times where, like on a monthly basis, I was like 10% of a couple of penny stocks, and it was a fun feeling because like you threw an order and like you were the guy. It didn't always last very long, but that's stuff that never happens in this other style of trading. However, there is a certain type of party that you do want to be the first to, and when you're in university, kids go to university and all that kind of stuff. A good keg. Sometimes if you're, I know it's like, yeah, show up later after you pre or whatever, but when you're going to a fun kegger, sometimes you want to get in there, get the feel, meet people who at the house, and I find it's never a bad idea to get there early, especially when you don't really know anybody that's going to be there, and then you're already primed when things get at hand. You know the lay of the land, like, okay, which bathroom I want to go to, I don't know this house, like all that kind of good stuff. It's just, little tips in there. Sometimes you do want to be early to the party. It does make some sense. The other thing I wanted to get to was, okay, Apple's bouncing here. It's tightening up. Thank you very much, everybody. There's only 293 votes for this poll.
Really?
So do me a favor. How many people are watching right now? We got 3,000 people watching, only 300 likes, so 10% of you have liked the show, and only 10% of you have voted on this poll. Now, I'm not saying I want more people to vote and hit the like. for selfish reasons, but just vote for Adara because I think that's who should win. Because Obi got really cocky when I asked about it, so now all of a sudden Obi needs to lose.
Yes.
So there you go, Obi.
Not only am I humbled by the market, I'm being humbled by the poll as well.
Come on.
Thank you.
Come on. No, you vote however you like.
So close.
It's all in good fun.
Yeah.
Obviously, Obi. Obi's like Leslie Nielsen. He doesn't know who Leslie Nielsen is. No, I'm dead serious. Like you drop the jokes completely deadpan, and that's what makes it so great. It's perfect. You know what? Now you have some homework over the weekend. Just watch the movie Airplane.
Okay.
And then you'll realize.
Oh, I think I've seen. Yeah.
Then you'll know the compliment that was just given to you.
Okay.
So I'm not hating on Obi or anything. But I did take Naked Gun's the other one you want to watch. Airplane's way funnier than Naked Gun though, right? Like Airplane. You know what? My next top 10 list, which somebody remind me I'm supposed to be making a top 10 list once a week for movies. I was asked to do it. I did it once for Halloween. The next one's going to be comedies. I promise you, not Naked Gun, Airplane is going to be on that list. It's in my top 10 for sure. Right. Anybody that watches the show knows my number one, but I won't say it right now. Apple did take some profit out. As this continues to the upside, let's go with, why is my Stream Deck? There you go. That was weird. That's not the key that I hit. Okay, but anyways, not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth. We got this little pop. Went long, some 59, some 61s. That's why my price is 60, and then I get some out. Now it's 61, so I got 2 entry points there. But as it gets into the high of the day, you're only talking about a 40-cent range to the high. So if I'm long 60 in front of 50s, and when it gets that 10 to 15 cents of the money, take profit. This is a 40-cent range. Your hold all day long opportunities are not here anymore, so you don't try for those trades. Sometimes they happen, but I don't think on a Friday with an hour to go it's going to. Oh, seriously, Disney? Okay, where was I bidding? Anyway, so Disney started to roll back off of VWAP. It missed me by 4 cents. I'll just move my order up a little bit. That actually started to come down as Apple bounced up. So I think we got the right thesis that Apple long, Disney short, and that can still work, although Intel might not be the same opportunity because Intel is doing this, powering into 39. And I said I would only add above 90, and then I added at 88. So let me just not add to this trade. If I get stopped out, let's just hold this to 39 if it breaks out the top. You can get yourself into some trouble when you start adding to it against the conditions that you want. If anything, I could just get out half. We actually have a stop. What's interesting, at Day Trade the World, and for anyone that trades at Day Trade the World, if you're not using this key, then you should probably be using this key, or at least think about whether you want to use it. There's an actual stop order which you can set up, and then you can just, once it triggers, it just fires an order for 25%, 50%, 75%, or 100%, and you can choose it. It's my favorite stop now because then I can say I only want half out at a tight stop because I have a bad entry or I have too many in front and I should have done that. So if it gets to this level, I want to be in the position, but I only want to have half of it. And then you throw the tight stop for the 50%, and then the other stop, for 100% at the 39 level. Fantastic thing. Maybe every platform has it. Honestly, I don't know because I only trade with Day Trade the World. So if everybody has it, then who cares? I think it's pretty cool, and everybody should use it. But anyways, I think that's.
I learned recently that we have time stops as well, in the software itself. That's pretty cool. Like I don't know too much about it, but we were in passing. I heard about that earlier this week.
So okay,
maybe you can speak more on that. You definitely are more familiar with the system.
Okay, so here's the thing. Right. And so this is not going to be, I'm not proud to be able to say this. I've been trading Day Trade the World for a very long time. And generally speaking, before the show happened and all of a sudden our time gets taken up doing the show, I was really, really good. I would read all the releases on the platform and know all the new keys and all that good stuff. I am actually embarrassed to say that I did not know that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of the responsibility away from myself. And at the risk of being really unpopular, I'm gonna blame Brankles, who's the floor manager. So I'm gonna blame him because every single time I'm supposed to do something for myself and learn it myself, I just say, "Damn it, Brankles, why didn't you do the work for me?" Because he's the man, first of all.
Yes.
And I also know that he'll probably know about this, so I'll be able to, instead of read about it myself. Hopefully he's listening. He's not at his desk right now. He could be forwarding me the release note that explains how it works to me. But that is something, a time stop, time stops, trailing stops, bracket orders, all these tools that you have. You want to understand how they work on your platform. I can't believe we had time stops and I didn't know. Like, that's super cool. So I got to start using them.
Yeah, definitely.
Who told you, first of all?
I think we were having a conversation. I think Wayner might have brought it up.
Oh, Wayne did?
Yeah. I think
he's
so.
not at his desk either.
Okay, all right.
I'm just going to message him.
So, but yeah, no, we were having a conversation yesterday, and we're like, oh, there are time stops in the system. We're looking through those, and that's very interesting. Again, very specific kind of niche uses for all different kinds of stops here. Okay, we're getting a little bit of a potential lower high here. I'm going to stay a little bit patient. Only about 50 minutes left in the trading day here, and we're still knocking on highs. So if we're going to squeeze into the close, pretty much a melt up day today. Pretty wild here, but if we're going to continue that momentum right into the close, and that, yeah, I think I saw somebody in the chat saying, "What are imbalances going to be like with a day like this?" I'm curious as well. Going to be very, very interesting here. But something on our watch list, Neil, and I don't think we really covered this in depth, were crypto names today. And yeah, with Bitcoin kind of very interesting over the past couple of weeks there. We broke through that 35 and pushed into that 38 to just what was this? This was earlier this week, literally yesterday here, pushing into that 38 thou. And a lot of these crypto names are catching a bit of a response to this move here. Very, very distinct move here, kind of reminding me of previous runs that Bitcoin has been on, where you kind of rip up into a level, consolidate for weeks on end, and then slowly kind of bleed up, maybe catching or building the buying pressure you really need to kind of continue back towards some of those highs from before. But yeah, let's take a look at some of these crypto names here. Again, the staples that I like to go to again are the miners, Mara and Riot. Shout out to Pat over here, our Mara trader. Yes, so Arval, definitely earnings day two. Earnings day two happening today, so definitely interesting. And some of these ranges from that earnings day one definitely coming into play here. But take a look at this, Neil. I think I was talking about this with a couple of buddies earlier on this year. If you take a look at the Mara chart, take a look at the volume, the relative volume that has been happening all year, right? So we did kind of have that strong move 2021, 2022, but coming back into these lows in and around this level, take a look at all of this volume that's been accumulating at prices which have barely gotten anywhere.
Damn.
So I think that is very, very interesting as well. And the fact that Bitcoin has started to run up and these things are lagging behind significantly with respect to where they've been when Bitcoin was at their highs, plus this accumulation, I think that's definitely a good look. Definitely a lot of these names in play. Let's take
absolutely
a look.
No chance. I mean, look, let's be real for a second.
Yes.
Like there's no chance in the world that right before something goes up parabolically that someone's trying to hold the price down so they can accumulate. That just never happens, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, come on. Like what are we talking about here? There's no chance, no way. Oh my goodness, that actually looks pretty good. And first off, I can't believe I spent an hour talking to Patrick. He never mentioned that he trades Mara. I didn't even realize anybody on the floor trades that stock very often. He turns around and says, "I am Mara."
Wow,
I'm dead serious. I don't think there's anybody that really trades Mara. Most people trade coin for crypto around here because that's what I do, and most people do. But Mara, Riot, whatever it is, I'll tell you, I'm not happy with this. Oh, so by the way, we did do that 50% stop. I'll get to, Plug just trailed out. 50% stop, tight on Intel, and then I'll put the other half at 39. And again, I broke a rule anyways by adding here, so I should have a tight stop for the half and then only hold the original entry to the top. Why not? Like I said I would not add until it got higher, so you break a rule, just get out of it. I just got out of Plug Power, so that means it made a spike up through 340. It was just a trailing stop for the last 10% that I was holding on to. Not really moving that much, but hey, it was going sideways anyways. Were this to pop into VWAP, I think I would take a shot. That's exactly where I was shorting down here in the morning and then late morning around 360. If it happens to get there, then I'd be there. 20 price, but the people trade Mara. I know lots of people trade it. It's just, it's interesting because, you know, you find like Obi likes to trade Amazon, Sean likes to trade Microsoft and AMD. And
Not always.
no, I'm not saying, yeah, first of all, yes, always. But then, you know, for certain people fall into like the same types of, and then other traders trade specific setups. You know, like I like a good pop and fade.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of my favorite setups out there. Which, you know, it comes from trading penny stocks. Like I started as a penny stock trader, so it's like literally one of the first things that's probably going to have worked out. So I would just kind of, I see it everywhere. So Disney, I missed that fill under VWAP, which sucks because the second I missed it, it's now back above VWAP. I have the tighter stop in here, so that could actually hit me at 810. Apple, why am I not filled yet? I feel like with this bounce back up, back into the highs, yeah, Apple hasn't broken the channel yet. Like, what is this thing doing? All right, so if I'm offering at 85 and it won't break 80, I'm going to take the next leg out at 80 and then just hold it to the high then. So I'm going to get another leg out because that's where it's consolidating. If it dips down, I can rebuy out in front of 185. So just trying to be pretty patient with this. Mr. Long Shorts, how do you hold on to your original share? Isn't it first come, first go? So I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I'm going to make an assumption you're talking about Intel. So if I get into Intel, so I get into entries on Intel, like my first entry was at 84, and then my second entry is at 88. So my average price was 86. So technically speaking, it's always like first in, first out. So even though I had an average price of 86, when I get out of half of it, it's just going to say, well, you got into these shares first, that fill was last, so your price is 88. You know what's interesting is there's no good way that I know of for the system to just say, hey, your blended price was 86. Can we just have it still say 86? I don't know that that's possible, and why the hell would anybody waste time coding it that way? Because it's like, who cares? But it would be, I admit, it would be a lot cooler if it did, because then it would just be easier. Then you'd know, hey, look, man, when I took my full position, I was in at 86, instead of being able to say, now I have a better price, right? Like it's weird. Like if you're short all the way, like imagine I was short 80, 85, 90, 95, and then literally got 99. So I had an average price of 90, and then the stock falls all the way to 38, 34, and I'd be like, oh, I'm short at 99. Well, really, you know, I was really short at 90. Like it's just first in, first out. That's the way that most systems work as far as I'm concerned. I don't know that anything I don't know of any platform that would do it differently, to be honest with you. I kind of feel like they're all more or less the same thing. If Apple gets to the high, that's good. By the way, if you guys are trading anything and want to throw some names out there, this is what the NASDAQ is doing.
Yeah.
It is 317. So if you don't really like a level or a setup, you probably don't want to trade it.
Yep.
Like find something good and then do that. If you don't like it, you don't have to force anything. Let's ask some questions. Happy Friday to you as well, Medical Toolkit.
Elon there
Great
asking
name in
us
the
a
chat.
question as well.
We just got, I missed the question from Elon. Deez says Nicola's been printing. Elon, there it is.
Right.
Do you see a market double top with a high risk of reversal down next week? Until we are really clear of this, I'm going to pull up my weekly and then change it to the Qs because, whoops, Q, here we go. Short answer, yes. But let me get the chart up first. Yeah, so a definite yes. We are not out of the waters for a pullback off this area. You could look at a daily chart that will show you basically the same thing. I feel like the weekly chart makes the better point here. So this is the Qs. You could look at the SPY. It's a little bit different. It's not that big of a difference. But you haven't cleared out this top. Nowhere near it. You're still working on the lower high in the Qs. Yes, we just broke a big level, and we have continued through. But you have every chance of still being at resistance for a pullback. It's been a very exuberant run. So as a day trader, it's not that difficult as a day trader because you can just play it. You know, look for turns, but don't have to get married to it. Stick with the trend for the majority of the day. You can fight things kind of in the morning when it's jiggling itself out, and then look for tops to the high of the day, but join the trend for the bulk of the day is generally what you want to do. We're not out of the water yet. That's just, I completely 100,000,000% agree with that. And a reversal doesn't have to be bad for the bull move. A reversal, like this is a weekly chart. Like we could reverse 27 bucks on the Qs and still be good. You're still good above 350. So yeah, I totally think that we could still have a reversal. for the Qs. I don't know what you think, but
Yeah, sure. We can talk about that as well. I do have some charting on my NQs here. I don't know if it's on this specific chart, but yes, very, very strong kind of a trend that we were having right here from earlier this year, kind of June, July. When is this? July. Oh wow, mid-July, right there, around 19th, 20th, and we kind of had this significant kind of a downtrend there, and the fact that we consolidated over the past couple of days and then dip breakout through that level right there is very, very interesting. Are we going to get a double top rejection? If you mean with this price right here, potentially up here at that 15.7, kind of that next level, and we can see that's just looking back right here, that straight flush back in. Once you break this horizontal level right here at that 15.5, 15.460, it's pretty much air all the way up here into that 15.7, and we're catching a little bit of that air today for sure as the market rips up to the high side. 15.6 coming into play and still continuing to make new highs there, Neil. I did get a little bit long on Amazon. Again, I said I was going to try to stay as meticulous as possible. Tried a couple times there. Bit of a reserve happening on 143. But before I continue that thought, I'm going to pass it over to Brendo.
Just quickly, guys, day highs coming here for both the S&P and the NASDAQ. This one just popped up as well. Paramount, still negative on the day. You can see big volume spike, though. 2 days in a row. Yesterday, this happened right at the close. Yesterday, it was Warner Brothers, rumored to be interested in Paramount. Now it's just a general Paramount will eventually be sold note that's being circulated, guys.
I'm willing to. There is going to be consolidation. Actually, Fabian, we were talking about this. There is going to be consolidation in this space, 100%. Okay. Actually, no. I should never speak in certainty. So 99%. There will be consolidation. I don't know who and who.
Sounds pretty certain.
But actually, it's a big deal. And there's a really good book. My favorite trading book is Thinking in Bets by Annie Duke, and it's not a trading book. It is a decision-making book.
I still have to read that one.
And because I think trading is about making decisions. So you can read about technical analysis. I think a lot of us can learn that stuff, and you learn it by looking at charts, but decision-making and how to evaluate your decisions is more important. And when you think in bets as a poker player, you're not worried about the results. You're worried about the process and did you make a good decision in that moment and probabilistically. And if you think in probabilities, then you should understand the concept that you should never think something is 100% that can't possibly be. Yep. And the way that you talk is often the way that you will think. Look, when we're thinking, we're talking inside our heads. And if you talk, I'm 100% certain of this. I know that this will happen. That will bleed into your decision making. I am a firm believer. Why are you slapping? Okay, it's like that. Okay, fine. I'm gonna shut up now.
He's agreeing with you. That's why.
Oh, you're agreeing? Okay.
Yeah. He's slamming fail on
I'm salty today. Ever since you did that whole thing with the Dara and the puns, where you're like, you're so chill about it.
I apologize. I didn't mean for it to come off as
it was badass
as aggro, but you know what.
Apparently they agree, too. That's the best part about it. Obi, you do have great puns. Like I said, Leslie Nielsen, deadpan, never gives it up. I laugh at my own crap all the time, which is a sign that you're not that funny because you laugh at your own shit. What did I want to say? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's probably
very fitting for today's price.
Hey, Fabian, a better up arrow somehow. Because we have a lot of old graphics.
This angle is too I guess not steep. I'm trying to find the word for.
It's just not cool.
The opposite word of steep.
It's just not. It's
we
not
need
that
a steeper
cool.
arrow that goes straight up.
It's just not a good graphic. Can we just agree that that's not the best of our graphics out there? But that's the one I have for the upside. So I hit the other one. The market's going up. Apple just took out 186.
Yep, new high.
So that continues to new highs. Now first of all, forget about the 185 half. If I'm joining again, it's going to be at a higher low that's going to work out in the mode of scalping. If it fails this level immediately, which I don't think it's going to, then I don't mind getting out and getting back in. It's 324. That's what you do anyways. It was obviously the right decision to take some of it out on Intel. So it was the right decision in terms of following my rules. But it's actually rejecting 39. So this one is probably a good short, at least what I'm seeing right now. And I should just be getting more shares tighter to the 39. So what I should have done before, I'm going to do now, which is offer tighter to that 39 and then get back in. Actually, I want to pick a different gateway here.
Yeah, this
Pick a different gateway. Disney, by the way, Disney's holding above VWAP. I will not be adding to that position. It is not falling down. I had a chance for that to work, sticking with the tight stop. And before we go back, I just wanted to get to Ian Rispetto's super chat. Thank you, Ian. What do we think of PANW going into earnings next week? I was looking to get into it ahead, but for a long hold. This is actually pretty good because I've wanted to get into this stock as well, and I did start into position a couple of months ago on PANW, and I'm not adding till after earnings. But I kind of just went through, like, once I start wanting to get into a stock, I kind of do like either a dip buy or a buy stink bid when it breaks something. In this particular case, I wish I could tell you that I bought it at $200. I did not. But after it made that move up, when it breached the 50-period moving average, I essentially bought it when it reclaimed it. And now I don't want to buy until after the next Q, which obviously the report's going to come out. A lot of times, if I really like it, I just say I now want to I'll buy it like a couple of days after because I'm going to be holding, and then I'll just reevaluate every single quarter because I want to be dollar cost averaging, not trying to pick some levels. Now, if this was down at the 200-period moving average and I liked it, I would just buy it. That's just how I approach things, and I really don't actively manage my account that much. But if there's a name I want to get into, I'll be thinking about how I want to get into it. Or if there's a name that I took profit out of, like Caterpillar, I'm thinking about how I want to get back into those shares because I'm not usually trying to do anything but buy and hold things in general. So PANW, and the thing about the cybersecurity names is we all know they trade at pretty high valuations, which always makes it tricky buying top. Nobody feels good about buying stock that everyone calls overvalued and you're buying the highs. But if it's really good, it's like, who cares? Like, talk to me about valuations in Amazon for like a million years. Did anyone care about Amazon's valuation? Like, seriously. Tesla for a long time. Yeah. All that said, I still stink bought it anyway, so.
I mean, Tesla's been pretty much in like a stair-step squeeze for the past few years, right? I think the pullbacks we're getting now may be a little bit significant off of.
You want a story?
Sure, yeah, we can. let's
hold on a second. There was a trader on our floor. I won't say his name, but I can tell you that he came to our floor from a big bank and was trading here for a couple of years. And actually, when we started out on YouTube, he was actually helping with some moderation in the chat. Like, he was answering some questions chat. Super smart guy. I remember, and at the time, I had been in and out of Tesla. I wasn't a Tesla investor or anything like that. Like, I had been in and out trading it, and I was looking to get into it long term. And I remember him saying to me, and I want to look, where was it? It was right in, was it 350? I'm trying to remember exactly which move it was. It was after one of the splits. But anyways, it doesn't really matter because it was 2020. But he was talking about a part, like, so yada yada yada, convertible debt and blah 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 blah, gamma squeeze. And I didn't really hear any of this nonsense that he was trying to educate me on. And he essentially called this breakout parabolically on Tesla. And I remember like going back after he said it, he's like, yeah, it's going to go absolutely ham when it breaks out. And this was right around, he was with us during the pandemic. It was right around like 2020, and it was this in here. I don't remember what the actual, because obviously with all the splits, I don't remember what the actual price was, but it was right in here that he called this break, saying it looked good. It was an obvious break on the chart, and everyone could see that it was a breakout. But I remember him saying the stock could literally quadruple, and it could happen before the end of the year. He said that's what he said, and he's like, it goes absolutely ham, and people are screwed if it gets through that price. And he meant the shorts. And I wasn't really paying attention to it, and it just goes to show, and I didn't buy it at that moment. I missed out on a huge opportunity. So the lesson here would be, when a really smart person is talking that knows more than you, and in this particular case, like a lot of experience at a major bank and understood options much better than I did and understood longer term trading on a level that obviously as a day trader that I wouldn't have gotten. And I wanted to be in the stock. Like, I wanted to own Tesla again, but I didn't know where to get in because everyone talked about how the valuation was bad. Right. And here he's telling me if it gets above this price, it could explode and you want to get in. And I didn't buy it at that moment. I eventually did and still worked out pretty well. But just, it is one of those things. Like, sometimes you hear things and it can be utter nonsense because you don't know where it's coming from. And every now and then you get to hear something very nuanced and very smart from a really intelligent person, so you listen to it. We bring Frank on twice a week so that you can get that kind of a benefit. We bring guests on that I think can provide obviously really good value. Raheem comes on here and talks about some Canadian names in the market that maybe you're not familiar with. So I think it's always really cool. On the trading floor, you get traders that have all different kinds of backgrounds and experiences and expertise that you want to make sure that you leverage. And trust me, like, it is invaluable. So when I hear things like in the chat, you guys will be talking about options. I see your name out there, Ponzi. You're in there. You're at the top of my chat when I look up. And I'll see these conversations when I'm prepping in the morning. You'll be talking about entries and options and whatnot. And I'm listening in all the time. You know, I want to make sure that I'm gaining from it too. Like, here's spoiler alert for anybody that joins the morning show in the chat at 9:30 when the market opens or at 8:30 when we come on. You're 100% missing out. Because I will tell you, when I open the chat, because I kind of put the show live in the morning, and I open the chat and I have it up from about 6:50 to 7 o'clock when I open it up. That first hour and a half, when it's not that many people in there, it's absolute gold. I've been looking at it for 2 or 3 years. And I'm not here to praise, what it is. There's great conversation happening, and you can really learn something from this community and some of the best people out there. Because right now, it's like the chat's got a lot of people in it, and there's a lot of messages going through. At that time in the morning, it's absolute gold. And I even learn something every now and then there. So shout out to everyone out there. The early look on the imbalances is 246 million to buy. Shocking. It's a buy-side imbalance.
Yeah. This is
I, for one, am shocked at that.
Yeah, just looking at some of these names, still creeping to the upside here. Take a look at this spider just climbing up the water spout right here. No stopping. And yeah, just nothing incy-wincy about this spider over here. Continues to just slam up into the highs right there. 430, was it 438 highs from yesterday. And going into the close, only about 30 minutes left. We are printing new highs. And same thing with Apple, same thing with Amazon, and same thing with the NQs and the ES here. We did get long on top of a reserve on top of 143. Didn't quite catch it the first time around as it kind of dips right back in. And yeah, we attempt to test these highs once again here. So yeah, I'm looking at some of this price action here to see if we're going to continue to trade higher, or we're going to come and pull down a little bit here. So as I see that little bit of a pullback, I do kind of want to get out of this position here, if I can. If I can. There it is. Okay, I think I had some other orders in. That's why it wasn't letting me kind of get out. But we did cancel the rest of those.
You know what my favorite key is?
What's going on?
So especially in a situation we have a bunch of offers out there,
Yep.
I have a cancel all bids, cancel all offers key. So like if I'm
right.
Yeah, and you know what? I told the story already. I had it because of there's a shift escape where you can just cancel everything you have out to the market, which I don't like. It's very, very dirty. But the cancel all bids and offers, if something really drastic happens in the market, and let's say it's like the bond thing or whatnot, and it's like to the downside. Well, I mean, I want to cancel my bids, but on the off chance I get hit on the offer or something, I don't want to cancel that.
Right.
Like the flash crash taught me that. And I was in a penny stock trade where, and this is before Twitter, this would have been 2004, and I was long this penny stock and everything was going just fine. I think the range was like 35 to 40 cents, and I was long on the way up, but it had, resistance was probably at like 45 that day, so I was still working the long side of the trade. Everything was okay, but it was in the higher end of the daily range. And so there's no Twitter and there's no social media. Essentially what happened in the next 3 minutes would have been this penny stock is announced Chapter 11, right? So now there's no way to know. Now when you're trading back then, there's no way to know that except for the fact that you're just going along and everything's normal, and all of a sudden the bid is gone and there's no liquidity anywhere in the market. It's hard to describe what that looked like on a level 2, but basically any reasonable person would have crapped their pants when they're looking at the level 2 in that minute. However, in all of that chaos, and it's only a split second, there's orders firing off everywhere. Now, thankfully, the first thing I did was I looked at my time in sales. I'm looking at Nicola right now, but I just happen to be. So let's just do that. I looked at my time in sales, And this actually saved me from getting shut down that day. That's why I'm saying it. I looked at my time and sales, and in that first split second of chaos, I saw Arca's P here. And that was one of the main gateways back then. It might not have been P, it might have been A back then. But either way, the only thing I saw that was green was Arca. And I had a key set up, which was an Arca sell where I could just cross down by a couple of cents. It would automatically, so it would be an aggressive order. So it would seek the best bid on that particular gateway. Back then, there was no Reg NMS, so like bids could, and asks on different gateways could cross each other. They didn't all have to be at the same price. So Arca could be selling at a good price, and you could have buyers, you know, most of the selling's going down at like 90 cents, let's just say, and Arca's still selling it, but there's people buying at 97, and everyone else is selling at 90. And in that chaos for the first second, I saw Arca green, just fired an order down, crossed the market, and got everything for like a 2-cent loss, which was bad, ultimately, because, I mean, again, that's like 5% on a 40-cent stock, but the stock was at 20 cents 15 seconds later. 15 seconds later.
Wow.
And in that moment, I was like, you need to have a key that can, I didn't have any bids, but like a cancel all bids key. But imagine I had been flat on the stock and just trying to get short at the high end of the range, and in that chaos, cancel all my orders because I didn't know what's going on. Well, once you realize that the bid dropped out, I want to cancel all bids key. And if someone hits me on the offer in all that chaos, because obviously it was happening in that moment, somebody got short in the 40s on that stock in that first 2 seconds of chaos. And that happens all the time around key levels. So anyways, that's too much pontificating by me. I had Nicola up because it's making a run at $1. It's 336, so it's probably too late for this. But Nicola has done it again, which is broken $1 down, somehow managed to not go to the gates of hell, and then try to reclaim the dollar. Now, usually when it does this, it sets up for a decent trade to the long side for a day or two before it turns into Nicola again. But the last time it happened, remember I didn't have this trade. So I'm going to let it zoom out a little bit further if it starts to load up. I was long, so last time I did it, I was long Nicola this day for nothing. I was long Nicola this day for 5 cents. I was long Nicola this day for nothing. And then I gave up on the trade. And then this day happened. Every day that week, like this is the Monday, and I was long $1 at the Monday for a small gain. Long for nothing. Nothing. I gave up, and I did not trade it on this day. And that's the day where if you risk 2 cents, it went all the way to 116 pretty clean. Wow. So Nicola's doing it again. So on Monday morning, I'm going to come in, and if it's at 102, I'm probably going to, you might see me long at 101 in the pre-market or something like that, because that's a setup that has worked. I just got trailed out of Apple, and it still went higher. Oh, for the
Apple is still screaming.
Apple's still going. I trailed out on Apple. I was looking for a fail at 186, and then we got out of it. So be it, Apple. Apple is super strong. Apple is a home run today. But, you know, I did get out of it early there to go over to the chip names, and then decided that the chips were a short at the high of the day. So I did take that fill up in the 90s. Now I have a 92 offer. Now I have a 92 price on Intel. It's just not busting this 39 at this moment. So the market continues higher, and it's holding 39. So I'm going to hold on to this short till it breaks 39, or we get those imbalances at 350, which are a small indicated buy. Disney, for some reason, doesn't want to go 25 cents against me, so I think I'm getting pretty lucky here. Disney's a New York stock, Neil. That's one I shouldn't get wrong because it's 3 letters. But it will not break this consolidation top. Suffice to say, when it does, I'm getting out of that trade. But yeah, what else are you guys looking at? That's what I want to see. Yeah, AMD made a bounce. Yeah, I'm sure everything is bouncing now.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the map here, Neil. Definitely strong market on the day. I don't really see a lot of red here. Who is this? Consumer defensive here. Tobacco and packaged foods are maybe a little bit red. You got Coke there. Everything else, a lot of tech, a lot of consumer cyclicals, financials are up. Utilities are pretty much green. Energy is solidly green as well. Not really a lot of names here, but yeah, some relative weakness in certain sectors. Certain sectors are pretty much divided as well. You can see healthcare; it's pretty much half and half here.
That's how healthcare is right now. Like it's been, it's just
no, like
it's been rough for J&J, for Merck, for Pfizer. It's been rough, and then if you're look, man, if you don't have that, if you're not in that weight loss drug game, like no one wants to touch you with the healthcare stocks. And like I love Lilly, it's been great, but I also own some Pfizer and I own UNH, and it's like they're good. Like I mean, UNH is good too, but just everything's been going to Eli Lilly and Novo, and it's been absolutely insane. But it makes sense to me that the package names and the day where tech has been absolutely blowing everything out of the water, you know, I don't expect that much out of PG, but that's fine. You know, I think you own that stock for a different reason. We have to go to the desk to handle something, but then we'll come right back and finish the thought.
Brought to you by IG.com. Trade Forex pairs like Euro USD with spreads as low as 0.8 pips and zero commissions at IG. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay. So I didn't say this while you were dropping a bunch of puns out there. It's a little bit unfair, and I understand that 55% of you are saying that Obi has better puns than Adara. However, Obi gets to keep dropping puns while this show is on, and Adara is sitting there doing work.
That's a little unfair.
And so it's a little bit unfair. So I'm not saying that some of you who haven't voted on this poll should just start voting for Adara out of pure fairness and so that she can win, because she should. But you should. So just go ahead and do it. Thank you, everybody. But I'm going to take some out of. So the thing about this on Disney, there's a rule that I have about things that aren't moving at the end of the day. So I know I'm in at 87. I actually just took a bid out at 89, right when it gets underneath VWAP. If it's not going anywhere, and look how long I've been in this trade, it might still work. It's entirely possible it could roll over. But when you have a time limit on when you have to get out, which for us, we have to be flat at 4 o'clock, at some point, you should just simply have less risk on a trade if it has less time for it to work. And on top of that, it's not showing any signs that it wants to work. So yes, it hasn't run my stop, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to hold on to it, because there's more to it than that. So anyways, I'm taking some out. Paul says, give it up, Neil. Obi all the way. Fair enough. I'd probably shut up about that. You know when you back a horse and you're just like, damn it. Anyways, main MBFA, thank you for the super chat. Hey Neil, much love. Can you check out gold, ETF GLD? You know what? You know who you should ask about gold, who may or may not be on the after show today. Oh, I'll pull it up. But you should ask Mr. Noss about that. Save your questions. By the way, if you have questions for Michael, do me a solid favor and don't put them into the chat now, because I'll miss them. Actually, Bears versus Bulls is fantastic. We don't say how great a moderator he is. He probably will save them, and then he'll try to remind me. But I'm really crappy about having more than one chat open up while I'm at the desk over there. So if you put them in the chat while we're doing the after show for Michael, then I'll probably have a better chance of seeing it. So your question was about the gold ETF. Yes, it's pulling back. Now you have a lot of people saying that this would be a good buying opportunity. I'm the wrong person to ask, because I agree on the fundamental reasons why you would want to get into it, and for like a technical purposes, I don't really think it's all that bad. I've just never been somebody who invests in the metals. I do actually have some physical silver, but that's it. And even then, it's not that much. But I'm the wrong person to ask for those reasons. However, when you're looking at a bull run, this is exactly the kind of dip that if held, right, like you're rolling into the 200 is the one you're rolling into, which is, for the long term, is the better moving average for me anyways. So you're just kind of closing underneath it on the daily. Were you to immediately reject that, so reject under the 200, hold the 50, get back above 180, that's a pretty bullish reversal at a very sort of integral level. So that's what I would be looking at from a technical perspective. But I would never, I just wouldn't do it, because I don't own gold and I don't really plan to. So it's nothing against it. It just is what it is. Like, I don't want to sit here. Like, if I tell you, oh, I like PANW for these reasons, technically, be like, look, I do like it and I believe in it. I'm just not a big gold person. So anyways, I've been asked about Melly about a million times here today.
Very nice.
Two can play this game, Obi.
All right.
What's up now?
We'll come prepared.
But the thing about this one, obviously this is never a day trade. I have an Amazon story about that, but you guys can understand. It's a $1,300 stock. So this is 100% not a stock that anyone here would ever day trade. However, you can still look at, okay, not 100%, 99%. Listen to yourself, Neil. But this is definitely a bullish stock, bullish name, which is much more of a swing setup kind of idea, because you get the break of the major moving averages, then you get the consolidation off the level, which resolves itself two ways. Either you're long off the bottom end of the range, or you're looking for a breakout to hold for a higher level. Like a breakout at 14, holding to the 50-period moving average, has to make a fresh high. That's a wide range. Most people would probably trade this using options, so you're probably looking for, as it's looking weak going into 13, then you take that opportunity to buy some sort of a call. I don't know what your time frames are going to be in that situation, but you're just looking for it to eventually get to the top of that previous channel, right? So if you were to draw a trend line like, I don't know, it's not going to be a very clean one, but whatever. There. Okay, so there you go. It's not very clean, but who cares? But you'd be looking to enter something like in and around like here, and then take whatever, whether it's whether you're just trading an option or whether you're trading the stock. You're looking for the top end of that trend line as the swing trade. Now, like the way I approach charting and trading, whether it's day trading or swing trading, like that's what I would be looking for on this particular name. It's a great looking trend, bounce 200 period, really hammer bounce off of the 200 period again, break the 50, look for that long, stop out 1300 or somewhere below it, and the rest is, as they say, history. Speaking of history, Disney is finally history from my blotter. See, we took some out, and it was basically flat, took a third out flat, and that way you lose less when you stop it out. It wasn't working anyways, right? So instead of just fighting it, which I could have done, just got out of it. I'm still in this Intel, which as the market goes higher, is still holding. It's not flushing, but it's still holding the lower high. So I kind of like this one. Bigger picture, I am generally speaking bullish on Intel. It's just the 39 level for me. I was long into this level pretty much all day. But 39 on the daily is a big one. And it's another stock that has this same channel on it, where you're looking from bottom to top. It's just that the last time we got here, it's very heavy at $39. So you want to respect that. J2 fade, you got 14.22 with my trend, Tom. So I guess you're talking about the same Melly as well. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Jacob, who said, enjoy your weekend, everybody. Have fun and take care. See you next week. Take it easy, Jacob. Have a good one. I wish you'd hang around for the after show, but you don't have to. I should still be in Apple.
Yeah, we're still ranging to the upside.
We are still ranging higher. Yeah. I always think you're going to get these great dip buys. That's just my mentality. Like, when it stair steps up, it's going to give you a fill back to here, and then you're going to be able to buy it at that previous high. And it just never works out that way in a strong trending market. The stronger the market is trending, the more shallow you have to, it's obvious, the more shallow you have to dip by. This is insane, man. Who's still long?
Like people are sending in their market close orders right now. Anybody who's long, this is a ridiculous uptrend here. Again, I did get long off of the 143 reserve there on Amazon, and I kind of get a little scared out of it as I think like, oh, we just wick topped high of day there. That was a little bit wrong on my part, as we just step up on a higher level and then push right into that 143.50 there. But something I wanted to show you here, Neil, kind of an interesting pattern I've noticed. We were talking about Pfizer earlier here. Now I have Pfizer here.
Maybe check the chat.
On the 6-month chart. Something interesting, Neil. And now you were trading in the 2000s, like the .com.
Well, I mean,
right?
Yes.
So interestingly, Pfizer was one of the market leaders back then. And take a look at this: near the highs, 08 crisis; near the lows, COVID crisis; near the highs. There's some tinfoil hat here, but I think there's something going on potentially. Now, I've been thinking about this over the past year or so. I've never really brought it up, but it's quite peculiar that Pfizer tends to make an extreme in and around these high volatility and high euphoria events in the market. Any thoughts on that? I find that very, very interesting here. As you know.
Well, I got one thought on that.
Yes.
The next time there's one of those, just buy the dip.
Yeah, or sell the top. If it's at an extreme, again, one of these.
I don't care why an opportunity to make money exists.
There's
you just do it anyway.
There's a pattern. I mean, it doesn't show up. It doesn't show up very often. It seems like it shows up every 10 years or so.
You know what's hilarious? So this is actually, I didn't realize this, and it was a thought that we came to. As you said that, yes, I was trading back then. This month is my 20th anniversary trading. I started in the fall. Not that big of a deal. No, I started in the fall of 2003. And what's interesting about it is like the former floor manager just recently left. Great guy, Greg. You would have seen him on the show. He was like exactly 10 years. It was like at the 10-year mark. He's like, yeah, okay. I did 10 years and wanted to change. And when I started trading, I remember having a conversation with my dad. And my dad's come from a West Indian family. My dad is an engineer, so you can imagine when I told him that I wanted to try out day trading after graduating with a degree in economics, how he would have felt about it. He was very open. Thank you to my brother for being an artist, making my parents open-minded, because I think that's part of the reason, because my brother's an artist, and my dad's an engineer. So I already had that pathway cleared for me. And he's like, okay, well, you know, blah, 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 what's your plan? I said, look, I'm gonna give it a shot. Heck, man, if it doesn't work in 6 months, at least I would have learned something. I could be done this in a year. And after 1 year, he's like, what do you think? He's like, man, I absolutely love this. This is great. It's working out pretty well. But you know what? You know, I'll give it 2 or 3 years, and if I make some bank, I might decide to move on, take a job at a bank like friends have and all that good stuff. And then 3 years came, and I was still doing it. And I just sort of feel like I got lucky. Like I was very fortunate to A, be trading on a prop floor where you're trading the firm's money, but B, I didn't have any responsibilities when I started. I was living at home, and I lived at home longer than I needed to build a bankroll. Which, when your friends are laughing at you, that's not really that big of a deal, because I was young. I was in my 20s, and I think that's what people. When you have the opportunity to do so, you should. My meals were getting made for me. I didn't have to pay any rent. And when you're trading on a commission, and the bottom could drop out at any single moment, you're gonna milk that to your advantage, and I absolutely did. And I can thank my mom and my aunt for that, and I could care less that all my friends had moved out and were living on their own except for me. So sometimes you gotta be willing to do that kind of stuff, and you can't worry about what other people are saying when you're chasing your dreams, and I'm still pontificating way too much, so I'll just move on. It's 350 and the imbalances came out, that's my bad. Yep. Suncor, 2 sell, 2 million. Plug is 1.3 million to buy, penny stock. Apple, 1 million to buy. I, for one, am shocked. You mean to tell me Apple is a buy imbalance today? Penn, for reasons unknown, is a buy for 1 million shares at the close today. Not to harp on Penn, but I'd take DraftKings 10 times out of 10 over them. Who cares about that? Cliff, no one cares about Cliff. Lucid, 700,000. Intel is a sell. It'd be nice if it would actually fall, but Intel always pairs off. Amazon, 600,000 to buy. Alphabet, 500,000 to buy. So 2.1 billion to the buy side. So despite the fact that Intel is a sell imbalance, remember 2 rules. 1, Intel always pairs off. Why am I on the offer of a firm still? Oh, for the love of Neil. And that was 2 cents that I did not need to take the hit on. So anyways, apparently I had an offer out on Intel. And oddly enough, I'm still bidding 701 on Neo. I just canceled that order. I really want that Neo 7 long, eh? So Intel, I expect this is going to pair off. So because I expect that, I immediately took another leg out. If it's only a couple of cents of a win, you take the move that's given, not the one that you want to happen. The other thing is, I got to get up before 4 o'clock because I have to get to the desk and prep for the after show for you guys. So generally speaking, just means that when Sean does it, you know, he tries to get flat, be out of trade so we can get up there and be set up and locked and loaded and ready to go. So that's why I want to make sure I'm getting some bids out here. I should just get some more out at 85 because that's where it is. And then I can throw one more bid down here probably at 80 and just get out of that one manually. So thank you guys very much. Oh, I just saw in the chat, what about here, Eric? ESPN Disney is partnering with Penn for sports betting. Okay, I didn't mean to harp on Penn. I just like DraftKings better. I was a Penn shareholder for like 1 week or maybe like 3 or 4 days because I owned shares in the Score and then Penn bought them out. So like, you know, essentially, I got some shares in Penn and then I decided within 2 or 3 days that I didn't want to have shares in Penn, so I sold them. At the time, it was a good decision. If you looked at the timing of it, it didn't matter. I just didn't feel like it's not a stock I wanted to own. But nothing against them. I just feel like if I had to pick, I would go with DraftKings. Actually, DraftKings had a really, really good quarter. I think if the market goes down, it's probably a good opportunity to get into that stock. But I don't own DraftKings. I actually am strongly considering it, but I'm not sure about it. So I'm just going to get this bid here at 82. And there you go. So out, done. This trade, remember what I said about 39 for Intel? You want fills above 38.90. Then proceeded to short 84. Then proceeded to short 88, get out half, get back in at 94. So you could have been, when we talk about patience in trading, be willing to miss the trade to make the trade. If you just waited, you could have the whole boat at 93 and 94, and then when it comes down here, you've got yourself 2-1. Instead, you can make essentially a flat trade because I got in too early, lost, and then just simply made back where we lost and maybe like a little bit more. So it just comes down to being patient in the trade. It's not always easy to do. If the market had rolled over big time right there, then I wouldn't have had anything on and would have gone to VWAP. But that's what you have to be willing to do sometimes. So 355 hit, and I don't know if it's still 2 million to buy overall. Intel flipped to a 1.8 million bid. Okay, well, that really paired off then. BAC, that's an early look, so who cares? Pfizer, who cares? Siri, 800,000. Looks like most of the names paired off here. Plug, 700,000 to buy is nothing. Lucid, 690, that's not that big either. So the big names have basically paired off all of those imbalances. That buy imbalance is more or less gone as the market got to those highs. It's 356. I'm going to kick it on over to Obi. You're going to see me in a couple minutes. We're going to have Michael Noss in the afternoon review show. We're going to take all your questions. We're going to do all the fun stuff that we normally do on a Friday. Just make sure that you save your questions for Michael until we get over there and have the new chat opened up there, guys. So I'll see you in a few.
All right, thank you, Neil. Yeah, guys. Again, it's been quite a wild day here. Only about 4 minutes left until the bell, and Amazon is continuing to push up near its highs there, as well as the rest of the market. Again, I keep talking about this, and I want to talk on the point that Neil just made. Again, I told you, earlier in the day, I pretty much shot myself in the foot getting aggressive on the long. And then I was like, okay, well, not too much risk left on the day. I have to be extremely meticulous and very choosy with the next trade that I take. What do? I wait for something significant to show up. A reserve shows up at 143. I'm like, all right, this is a good opportunity. I liked interacting with 143 earlier this week as well. And going into that late end of the day, you pull back significantly, and all of a sudden, you see a strong reserve at that 143. Now here, it didn't work the initial time. Sure, I was only risking about 5 pennies there to take this trade, keeping it quite tight for that reason, right? Reserve, a very strong kind of a tape indicator there, and when that happens, I hit it again at that 143, just risking only about 5 to 6 pennies. We take it for about 20 pennies, but take a look at the move. I did post an order here just underneath that 143 half to get out of that long, but I was only able to identify this opportunity because I stayed patient, right? So definitely very key to exercise patience, especially when you're not in the right mindset and getting very aggressive unnecessarily as the market continues to rip up. So yes, Neil, definitely thank you for that emphasis on the patience and waiting for the right opportunities here. And I wish I had a little bit of that patience here, kind of getting too aggressive, right? But let me know what names you guys have been trading. People talking about Palantir. We covered some Palantir here, and Fresh Chicken is not a ticker there. I'm just reading through the chat. What have you guys been trading today? A lot of volume leaders: Plug Power, PLTR, Tesla, AMD, Unity, Trade Desk, and Rivian being some of the top volume leaders on the day. Darwin saying TWLO was my friend. Yeah, let's take a quick look at Tulio here. Yeah, so Tulio, we don't want the 6-month chart there. Oh wow, bit of a sell-off. But Tulio trading around that, okay, nice steady grind, trading around that 55, 58 mark today. That's the range. Very strong trend to the upside. So yeah, pretty solid run up there on Tulio. But again, maybe a little bit of your market tailwind giving you a push as well I'm watching these tickers, man. Oh, so many tickers still continuing to the upside. DKNG saying Madhav. Okay, so let's take a quick look at DKNG as we've only got about 30 seconds left, roughly, for the bell. DKNG a little bit flat there. So if you're trading the range all day on DraftKings, very well done there, as it only clips well within this range here. So only about 40 seconds here. I'm going to reach over here for the countdown timer. And yeah, thank you everyone for spending this day with us. Hopefully you did not fight the short too hard there. And oops, I didn't. Okay, well, it's still got about 5 seconds there. I got to time it right this time. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. There is the market close. Thank you everybody for spending time with us today. Hopefully you learned something. Again, what to do, what not to do. I'm making mistakes. I'm taking some trades, but again, it's all a learning experience, and hopefully we are providing that value to you. Now, thank you again to our team, Ramin, Fabian. Thank you to Brendo. Thank you to Sharif and Adara. Thank you to Neil and Sean, of course, and everybody else who I'm missing again, who makes this show possible. Thank you for spending time with us, but don't go anywhere right away, as Neil is at the big desk. I will see you guys next week. Take care and have a good weekend.
Thank you very much, Obi. Ooh, I have my earpiece on. I can hear myself. Thank you very much, Obi. But you do